quarterbacks who started for the Steelers last season are gone. Mason Rudolph signed with the Titans, and Pittsburgh traded the 2022 first-round pick Kenny Pickett to the Eagles. And then they made another splash on Saturday night, acquiring Justin Fields from the Bears for a 2025 sixth-round pick that could become a fourth-rounder based on his playing time. Russell Wilson got on X. He said he's excited about it, sending out this tweet: "Let's get it, Justin Fields. Quarterback room about to be fire emoji." Actually, I think there's 3 of those. It's even more fire than just one. How did the trade for Fields come together?
Laura, it was a softer market than I think a lot of people realized. There was a lot of discussion about Justin Fields being traded to various NFL cities, but the fact of the matter is the Bears did not have a whole lot of suitors. Pittsburgh was a place that Justin Fields wanted to go, and in the end, ultimately, the Bears accommodated him by sending him to Pittsburgh for a conditional 6th-round pick in 2025. Not even in this year's draft, but next year's draft. And essentially that, I think, was where he wanted to go in the end, with all the other quarterback spots filling up over time. And Saturday, the Bears made a very quick decision to get this done rather quickly. They agreed to the deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so in the span of a week, Pittsburgh adds both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, both at very low costs, and they completely transform their quarterback room and their offense moving forward, while Chicago moves forward with everybody now knowing that they are locked in to taking a quarterback number 1, with the widespread expectation being that Caleb Williams is about to become a Chicago Bear.
All right, so we'll get to the Chicago piece of a lot of this in just a little bit. But, Mina, how do you see this quarterback dynamic playing out in Pittsburgh?
It should be a competition. I mean, I've seen a lot of reporting and speculation about whose role is what. This, by the way, goes back to, Kenny Pickett being traded. Did Russ come in with the starting job in hand? Was Pickett going to compete? Can Justin compete? Was he a backup? I don't care, Laura. This should be a competition, and it takes me back actually to 2012 when Russell Wilson was drafted by the Seahawks. Matt Flynn, for those who remember, was paid quite a bit of money, $10 million, which hilariously is even more than Russell Wilson is getting from Pittsburgh now. It seemed like it was his job in the spring. Then Wilson, the 3rd rounder, came in and he won the job because Pete Carroll let them compete. I see zero reason why Pittsburgh shouldn't do the same thing, especially because of the upside that Fields has flashed over his stint in Chicago. I'm not saying he's guaranteed the job. I'm not saying it's his for the taking, but he should be given the opportunity to beat out Russell Wilson. Yeah,
to that point, Fields played really well, especially last season. And, I do think that Tomlin is the type of coach, Graz, that would maybe let a quarterback competition happen. Do you believe Justin Fields will start a game for the Steelers this season?
Yeah, I don't think you can rule out the possibility. I look, 66 different quarterbacks started in the NFL this past year, so inevitably something happens almost everywhere. And you have a situation here where you have Russell Wilson, whose QBR over the last 2 seasons is lower than Justin Fields, who the Steelers are paying about half as much as they're going to end up paying Justin Fields. I think what we saw Saturday night, the Steelers, getting out in front of the questions and making sure everybody knew Russell's the starter and Fields is coming in to be the backup. I think that's important right now because you're managing Russell Wilson, and obviously he's going to have that same question as well. But you're absolutely right, Laura, about Mike Tomlin. I mean, knowing everything we know about him, how could this not be a real competition to the point where if Justin Fields is outplaying him in practice, he could take over the job?
Well, beyond that, again, they've been very quick to point out, Dan, that Russell Wilson's number 1, Justin Fields is the backup. But when you talk to people around the league, the thinking is that they don't have much invested in either player. So if they felt like Russell Wilson wasn't picking up the offense, wasn't adapting, they felt like they were better off with Justin Fields, they only have a $1.2 million investment in Russell Wilson. It's not very much. So they could do whatever they want with him. And when you spoke to people around the league, they're like, yeah, they could bench him. They could release him before the season. They don't know what's going to happen. It's obviously Russell Wilson's job to win. He's set up to be the starter. But the fact of the matter is, because of the low cost of each, anything could wind up happening, even though Russell does go in as the number 1.
Former Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett addressed his trade to the Eagles at his introductory press conference this afternoon.
I think the communication is what it is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way that I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. It just felt like it was time from the things that transpired, and wanted to get a chance to go somewhere else and continue to grow my career. And the fact that it's in Philly, the place that I grew up, found the love for the game here, with a great coaching staff, great players. I'm looking forward to meet all these guys in a couple of weeks when everyone gets back into town. But I think it's an awesome opportunity here to join this team.
Seemingly classy all the way through by Kenny Pickett. We even saw it when he was still with the Steelers and Mason Rudolph was starting. But Adam, what more can you tell us about how this trade was handled by the Steelers and Pickett?
Well, essentially, I think Kenny Pickett saw them sign Russell Wilson, and I don't think that he particularly cared for the fact that it was described to him that he basically would be trailing Russell Wilson in the quarterback competition, that Russell Wilson would have the leg up there going into camp, that he would not be the starter heading into camp. And I think when he heard that, I think he was disappointed, and he obviously asked to be traded. And the Pittsburgh Steelers wasted no time. They found a home in Philadelphia, which Kenny Pickett was in favor of doing. He's from New Jersey, grew up an Eagles fan, knows the type of organization the Eagles have been. And as soon as essentially he asked them to trade him, they were quick to find a home. And the fact of the matter is that really set into motion the Justin Fields move, because if Kenny Pickett wasn't unhappy and was comfortable staying, then Justin Fields still might be in Chicago today, and the Bears still would be looking to accommodate him and to find a new home. But once Kenny Pickett asked to be traded and they agreed to a deal with the Eagles on Friday afternoon, that triggered a whole series of events that led to Justin Fields then being traded to Pittsburgh to essentially take the place of Kenny Pickett, who was traded to Philadelphia after Russell Wilson had signed with Pittsburgh the week before.